And you don't have to have as formidable a contracts as basketball. But here's my theory on it. If you guarantee more money to players, they'll retire early. Why is that good? Because when they retire at 33 or 32, increasingly you don't have to hit in 7th, 8th, 9th grade football, right? Hitting is happening later, 7-on-7 camps. Most people are smart enough to realize you shouldn't have 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids, 11-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids hitting each other. And so the hitting window in football, which used to be 7 years old to play to your 37, is 30 years of hitting. You got broken down players going on TV, you got lawsuits, and you got debilitating injuries. It's bad for humanity, bad for football. But now, with less hitting until kids get into high school, if players can retire earlier at 31, 32, just when they start to suffer like the second back issue, the fourth knee surgery, that you get more vibrant human beings who can go on, broadcast, be dynamic, and the symbolism is this sport is okay physically. It's rough, it's tough, but you don't got guys hobbling around with fingers pointing in 9 different directions. And so, as I bring on Kyle Long via the Coward Global Satellite Network, this is somebody that retired at 31, got all his faculties. So what do you make of my theory, which is guarantee more money to NFL players? I know owners won't like it, but allowing guys like you to make your money, get out at 31, go broadcast. You're vibrant, you're dynamic. The symbolism is great. Am I nuts on this?
I would be remiss if I didn't come on here and say, absolutely, you're right. Guarantee more money to football players. I mean, I'm a guy who dealt with 13, 14 operations in the course of, 10 years of trying to play this beautiful game that I love so much and appreciate. So to your last point, it is a great game, but the knowledge we've accrued over the years has told us we don't have to stop. We don't have to start hitting at 7 years old. We can play other sports, gain other skills. You look at a guy like Russell Wilson. He's incredibly talented because of his wealth of knowledge in multiple fields of sports. So Russell, kudos to you. Hopefully kids are taking notes in that department.
You retired. Was there a moment or an epiphany or a flight or a practice, Kyle, where you said, this ain't working for me, I got to go?
Well, they always say the straw that broke the camel's back. There were many straws along the way, and they were mostly physical. Sometimes dealing with the emotional side of being injured is tough. But I remember playing in London, and it was halftime. I wasn't playing well. We were getting crushed, and I just remember getting the verbal feedback that I wasn't getting it done. And it was really the first time in my career that I was getting that so cut and dry, and that was really the red flag for me.
So you flew home from London, and you're like, did you call Dad and say, Dad, I'm going to have more spare time on my hands?
Well, sitting across from Matt Nagy on a what seemed like a 1,000,000-hour flight, and me and Matt are buddies, but we didn't say a word. The guy couldn't look at me. His right guard, who has been signed for a lot of money, is not blocking anybody, unfortunately. So I knew it was time to start dropping the LBs and start tailoring the suits and maybe get on here with you.
Well, this is great, and we'd love to have you as a teammate. Let me ask you about this. There's a big hot topic in Chicago. I like Mitch Trubisky, the guy. Yeah. We don't want to make it personal. Never been a fan. Don't think you can win. I think there's a ceiling with him. I think the organization, I think Matt Nagy's great. I think he's great. I think he's limited. It feels like to me, Nick Foles is, without saying it publicly, the leader in the clubhouse. Am I misreading it?
I think that's a wrong judgment, and I know that you have, and I respect the fact that you've stood by your judgment of Mitch Trubisky for a long time, but I got to say, as a man who has blocked for him, as a guy who's been in the building with him, Mitch Trubisky has not reached his potential yet, but he's an extremely hard worker, and he is ascending towards that. I think if I'm Mitch, the only thing I can control is cutting it loose. Be a freak. Let your freak flag fly. My dad always told me that, and you know what, Mitch, if you're listening, do that thing, man. Go out there, compete, and do the thing that everybody says you can't do, which is kick somebody's you-know-what and go get that starting position.
Do you think he beats out Foles? Foles is I believe Foles is a better pure thrower.
I think, and I've spoken to Chris about this. Chris speaks very highly of Nick Foles. My brother, Chris Long, who was on the Super Bowl team with Nick, speaks very highly of Nick. But, I speak highly of my guy, Mitch, as well. And I think if there is a true competition and Mitch is given the opportunity with this shortened offseason and his understanding of our team, he's going to be the starter. But you never know. When a team brings in a guy like Nick Foles, it speaks less about Mitch and more to how the Bears feel about the quarterback situation. And they went and signed a guy named Nick Foles, a Super Bowl champion.
What did you make? Let's talk some division questions. What did you make of the Jordan Love pick by the Packers?
Well, initially I scratched my head like everybody, but then I thought, well, here's a great player that's emerged on the radar as a quarterback that people around the league are to want. Then the question is, do you want to play against this guy, or do you want to have him there when a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who maybe gets beat up early or late in the year, the last few years, you need a guy like Jordan Love to come in, and there's not as much of a drop-off there at the quarterback position. And in the NFC North, you're going to need to score points. And I think that's important to have a guy like Jordan Love there. And also, you're going to groom him behind one of the greats.
Do you believe Aaron today is Aaron 4 years ago?
I think when protected, Aaron Rodgers is as good as anybody in football. And I think that he's a rare guy. Physically, athletically, we've all seen him do special things. He's one of a handful of guys that I'll leave the bench to go watch when we're playing against him, regardless of the game. And I look forward to seeing how he does this year.
Yeah. Let's move to this. No fans in the stands. I think to myself, well, you guys are at practice all the time, scrimmages, you're probably okay with it. But then I think to myself, in a game that's as physical as football, when you have to get amped up, crowds can really help that. Do you think it would be hard to play without a single fan in the stands?
I think for any position other than the offensive line, it would be unwelcomed to play in a stadium with no fans. Defense, they love the crowd noise. They love that stuff. But as an offensive lineman, people ask me, where are the toughest places to play? Seattle, New Orleans, you name it. We can all think of the places that teams dread to go on the road. Now imagine that place without fans, and it's kind of the squeaky toy with no teeth now. It's just football. Guys aren't going to have that mental edge of saying, we're at home. It's the 12th minute. No, it's 11 on 11, boys.
Yeah. By the way, no OTAs, perhaps truncated camps. It's only the relationship now is just Zoom, coaches to players. I was just saying this about 10 minutes ago. I think it's a big edge for the Peyton Breeze, Lamar Harbaugh, Mahomes Reed, Russell Wilson Carroll. Guys have been together for years and years. I don't recall 2011. You played in the NFL for 7 years, so I'm not sure if you were there for the lockout. You weren't there. But I do think, boy, what an edge to be a veteran player. Are we right on that?
Well, to have the wherewithal and the understanding of anything can happen, because right now it's like Groundhog Day. We're Bill Murray. We're waking up every day. There's no real answers. What the hell's going on? We hope the season starts. Well, we're given word that July 26th, whatever the date is, we're going to show up to camp. If I'm a player, that's in mind. Now, if that bumps back, if I'm a rookie prepping physically, I don't know if I can handle that mentally. You gave me a finish line, coach, and now you're bumping it back. But as a veteran, we've dealt with stuff before, whether it be injuries, home life, taxes. So you got to deal with this stuff and just deal with it as it comes. And vets, as you say, are going to be the guys who deal with it the best.
You live in Chicago. It's one of the great places in America. My wife and I love it. You love it. It's just a fantastic city. And the Michael Jordan documentary probably landed differently in Chicago than other places. What was you still live there. You're there right now. What did you make of it?
I really enjoyed it because it's a amazing time capsule of a period where social media wasn't a thing. The 24-hour news cycle wasn't what it is today. But what we get is an idea of how massive Michael Jordan was and how impactful the Bulls' success and their run was on the world of sports and the world around sports. So it's been incredible to watch as a kid who was too young to appreciate it in my youth. But, you're looking at these clips here, the tongue out, switching hands, left hand. This guy's amazing. MJ, the GOAT.
Yeah. He was not only the best player, he was the coolest player and the most handsome player in the league. And
he was bad. He was a bad boy.
Yeah. No, that was it. He just had it all. He had the look, the dress, the earring, the smile, the perfect, symmetry, everything.
Plates. The vanity plates. You could do an entire segment on Michael Jordan's cars and his vanity plates.
Good stuff, Kyle. Good seeing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colin.
All right. Great stuff. Kyle Long, Dad. Howie Long, obviously. Chris Long. A lot of Longs. All good. All smart. Rob Parker this hour is going to yell at me for something. I mean, I see. So here's the thing with Rob. I don't even want to know what he's going to say because I know Rob's going to have strong opinions on the Jordan documentary, like incredibly strong opinions. And I told my staff, I don't even want to know. Don't give me a heads up on anything he thinks because he's going to come in and drop hammers, and I'm going to think he's nuts on all of them, but Rob Parker will be joining us. That's coming up. Have you seen the interest rates on savings accounts at typical banks? Well, you put money in there. You're not making money. You're just basically saving money. Not much to get excited about. Now there is. Marcus from Goldman